That's a song you could do tomorrow night. You got a friend in me. Because you've done that before. That'd be a really good song for you to do tomorrow night. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Oh, let's see here. Ah, there we go. Uh-oh, but I'm not hearing myself coming through now. Okay, that's muted. Okay. There we go. Now everyone can hear me. Uh-oh. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Hello, Pogorelskis. Hello, Arlene.
Hello.
Good Shabbos to all, and to all a good night. Amazing.
I read your email, so I could tell you were say hi from there.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's a good place, you know. We're doing good work. We're doing good work. We're doing God's work. Better go quiet. Shelley, would you like to light the candles tonight? Yes. I'll invite you up when the time is right. What's that?
She already did it once, so she's got practice.
She's practiced. She worked on it.
Can I take this off?
Yes. When you're up here, you can take that off because I'll put mine on. The rules are going to get more stringent again. I hate to say.
I can just live with this.
It's,
It is.
we just got a notification that I think there's going to be another indoor mask mandate in Holly County starting on the 29th.
What, I'm sorry, you said something.
So we just got notification, I think there's going to be another indoor mask mandate for LA County starting on the 29th. So.
Oh, right for Ben's birthday.
Yep. We're doing it for Ben.
Yeah.
Good Shabbos, everyone. So good to see your bright and shining faces. We'll be getting started in just a moment. If the sound is good, give me a thumbs up if you can. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Helene. I appreciate that. Let me open up the chat. Perfect. Pam Tarlow's letting me know that she hears me. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight sanctuary for everyone. Beautiful. Yes.
Neil and his family have a food fest in Arlington, Virginia.
Yay!
Don't know for how long, but they're out of Bangkok.
They're out of Bangkok. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're happy about that.
Now I can't remember how that. Why don't I hear my microphone? I must have it muted, that's why. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Shabbat shalom, Marla. page 120 and 121. Oh my goodness, come on now. This is not melting in right. There we go. I think, yes. Okay, Bob. Ya lay la lay lay ay lay la lay yay lay la 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 lay ya lay la lay lay ay lay la lay yay lay la 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 lay ya lay la lay 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 la lay ya lay la lay lay ya la 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 lay ya lay la lay lay ay lay la lay yay lay la 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 lay ya lay la lay lay ay lay la lay yay lay la 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 lay ya lay la lay lay ay lay la lay yay lay la la lay 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 lay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. All of you who are present here in the sanctuary, those of you who are present here on Zoom, Shabbat Shalom to all, and welcome to the peace and sanctity of this beautiful Shabbat Eve. It's cooled down a little bit outside, thanks God. It's beautiful, and you're all beautiful, and you're all here, and it's so wonderful to have you with us. As you may know, Rabbi and I have traded places. So now I'm here, and she's up at Camp Newman, and she is working with some amazing campers up there, and I'm sure that they are benefiting from her wisdom. So it's wonderful to be back home. It's wonderful to be back in the air conditioning, and it's wonderful to be, of course, back with all of you. Our service tonight will begin on pages 121 and 120 as I invite Shelley Pogorelski to come forward and light the Shabbat candles. It's right there for you too.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Oops. Shabbat Shalom. Sorry about that. As we prepare to continue welcoming Shabbat with the words of the Psalms, we turn to page 128, where we find these words, Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. What goodness there is when we all come to sit together as a community. And this is a great opportunity for those of you who are on Zoom to greet each other as well while we're singing. And we'll have another opportunity coming up here as well for everyone here. Page 128. Hinei ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 We continue with Psalm 95 on page 130. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria לצור אישנו, לקדמה פניו בתודה. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, מזמרות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. We continue singing a new song to God, page 131. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. I will sing unto God a new song. In a moment, we will share in these words of welcoming the Shabbat bride, page 138 and 139, these words of Lecha Dodi, which were scribed by Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz. And Shlomo Halevi is actually a distant relative of mine, a cousin, and was one of the great Kabbalists of Tzfat about roughly 6 generations ago. And he scribed these words out of the rapture and the joy that he felt in welcoming Shabbat each and every week. And if you've ever had the opportunity to be in Tzfat when the sun is coming down, is lowering in the sky, it is a beautiful city. And they would the Kabbalists would run to the furthest hill to try to catch that last glimmer of light on Friday and welcome the Shabbat bride, and they would return with their torches lit, just as we have lit our torches here to bring in Shabbat. They would return with their torches lit, welcoming the Shabbat bride with these words, L'chadodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla, beloved, come to meet the bride, beloved, come to greet Shabbat. And if you look at the verses of L'chadodi, at just the first letter of each verse, you will see that it actually spells his name. A little narcissistic, perhaps, but but a common poetic practice of the time was to take a word and oftentimes a name and use it to start the verses. And so if you look at 1 through 4, it's Shin Lamed Mem Hey, Shlomo. And if you look at 5, 6, 7, and 8, it says Hey Lamed Vav Yud Halevi. Shlomo Halevi. This is Shlomo Halevi Al-Kabetz, who wrote the L'chadodi. And for my 25th anniversary, I wanted to honor that relation of mine and wrote a new melody for L'chadodi for that anniversary. And I hope that it is one that becomes beloved within our community. L'chadodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela l'chadodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לחדודי לקראת כלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לחדודי לקראת כלה verse 5 התעוררי כי בעורף אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לחדודי לקראת כלה. We rise and we face the doors through which we entered as we welcome the Shabbat bride with verse 9, Bo'i v'shalom. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. And just as we have welcomed the Shabbat bride into our midst at this time, so too she may be sitting right next to you, or he may be sitting right next to you. And so I invite you now to greet each other with Shabbat Shalom. Those of you online, greet each other as well as we prepare to enter into our evening prayers. We remain standing as we return to page 146 for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayers? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars, and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On page 150, Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael. echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We are on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. As we prepare to join in the words of redemption, the Micha Mocha on page 158, I share with you these words, which can be found, I'm not asking you to turn your page, but can be found on page 73 in the Siddur. Because I recently learned these words through a song by Dan Nichols. And it's such a beautiful text for preparing ourselves for the Micha Mocha. I wanted to share it with you. It says, "And what is my lifespan? I'm like a man gone out of Egypt. The Red Sea parts, I cross on dry land, 2 walls of water on my right and on my left. Pharaoh's army and his horsemen behind me. Before me the desert, perhaps the promised land too. That is my lifespan." We continue with the words of Micha Mocha, page 158. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. מלכותך רב ובניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. שאלי ענו ואמרו, שאלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Sing the yailais, yallai lai lai la lai lai la 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 la. Yai la lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai lai la la lai la 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 la. Yai la lai lai la lai 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 lai. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, Gal Yisrael. Right about now, at Camp Newman, the counselors are standing around their campers and blessing them, holding up the sign of the Kohen, which is beautiful, by the way, repeating after the camp directors, of course, who are feeding them the words of the priestly benediction. And then they are spreading talitot. They are spreading canopies over their campers, canopies of love and caring and peace over the entirety of the Beit Tefillah. Right now, we have several children up at Camp Newman who are experiencing what it means to be loved by someone that is not your family. They're experiencing what it means to have someone not so much older than them who cares deeply about each and every one of them. They're counselors. And when those counselors spread these talitot, there is this incredible moment that happens where we always joke that camp is children raising children, because that kind of is what it looks like most of the time. But at this moment, when you look into the eyes of these counselors, these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, you see that they get it, that they understand the gravitas of their commitment to these children that are sitting in front of them. And as they bless them, there is nothing more beautiful. As we share in these words of Hashkivenu on page 160, as we join in song and prayer, we think about all of those loved ones of ours, maybe even those that we don't know personally, but that we care deeply about in this world, who are in need of a sukkot shalom, a canopy of peace to be spread over them. As we picture them in our mind's eye, we share in this prayer, asking that God shelter them and protect them under God's chuppat shalom.
Aleinu
page 162, the words of Vishamar, which remind us of our weekly reminder of the peace and sanctity that God gives us and the protection, this beautiful Shabbat, and how we are the guardians of that. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש. In an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. I invite you to stand in body or spirit, if you are able, as we turn to page 164 for our Amidah, our standing prayer, our letter to the divine. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. I invite you to continue with the words upon your hearts, or the words written upon the pages through page 181. Perhaps, if you've never done this before, find a reading somewhere in those pages and study it for a moment and see how it speaks to you. תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים Nasim Le'olam. These beautiful words on the next page after Shalom Rav say, don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first. In a moment, we will be continuing with our Torah service, which you can find on page 364, where we will be taking the scroll out of the ark, and we will be inviting up anyone who is celebrating a birthday in July or an anniversary in July to come up and bless this reading, this beautiful reading today of Pinchas. Pinchas is not the beautiful part. But the beautiful part is when we get to the story of the daughters of Tzlafechad, which I wrote about this morning, and which I'll say a few more words about after the reading today. But with that, I invite you to turn to page 364 to stand in body or spirit as we remove the Torah scroll from the ark. Zion, תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. מציון, תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון, תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון, תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושותיו. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. Page 366. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadol Adonai iti ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל לראש. You may be seated. Now, I don't know who's celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, but I've got a list here. So don't shy away, all you. I'd like to invite up anyone who is celebrating a birthday or an anniversary in the month of July. I know who you are, some of you. And to come forward and to bless this beautiful Torah portion. There are a lot of people. Let me go grab another blessing sheet. Here's a sheet with the blessings. You can also find the blessings on page 368. 368. Thanks for coming up, love. Looking great there. All right, and let's bless together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Amorach Leolam Va'ed. Amen, amen. ותקרבנה בנות צלופחד, בן חפר, בן גלעד, בן מחיר, בן מנשה, למשפחות מנשה בן יוסף, ואלה שמות בנותיו, מחלה נועה וחוגלה ומלכה ותרצה, ותעמודנה לפני משה ולפני אלעזר הכהן ולפני הנשיאים וכל העדה פתח אוהל מועד לאמור. אבינו מת במדבר והוא לא היה בתוך העדה הנועדים על אדוני בעדת קורח, כי וחטאו מת ובנים לא היו לו. למה יגרש שם אבינו מתוך משפחתו? כי אין לו בן. תנה לנו אחוזה בתוך אחי אבינו. And the blessing after. 1, 2, 3. Amen. So who are my birthdays? We've got a birthday, a birthday, a birthday, a birthday. So many birthdays. This is fantastic. I love it. I hope not. I hope not. So I want to offer you this blessing. Reb Nachman of Bratslav once said, "The day on which you were born, that is the day on which God declared that the world could not be preserved without you." Ribbono Shel Olam, Master of the universe, we ask that you celebrate with all of these birthdays of July. We ask you, God, to shed your light upon all of them. Those who are also with us on Zoom who are celebrating their birthdays in July. We ask that they know that without them, this world would not be the place that it is. For God, you needed them to help preserve this space. And therefore, they were born, as Reb Nachman taught us. We ask that they know that everything that they do is the work of your hands, God, that is done through them, and that they understand that that is a great responsibility and a great honor in life. And we ask, God, that you grant them many, 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 many more years to keep on doing the good work that they are doing in this world, to keep the love alive, to keep the world going round, and to keep their families and friends who love them and celebrate with them close to them, so that they might have many more happy birthdays. Ken Yeh Ratzon, may this be God's will. And are you our only anniversary that's here? I mean, I guess I'm one of our anniversaries that's here as well. And I don't know if we have any anniversaries on Zoom, but if you do, throw me something in the chat so that I know. I don't see anybody throwing anything into the chat. So, Scott and Rosa, How many years? 15 years. Wow. And they said it would never, no. Just kidding. Nobody said that. I know, I was there. So you're celebrating 15 years. Jody and I just celebrated 21 years. And I offer this blessing for all of us who are celebrating anniversaries. Oh, and Brian and Terry. Brian and Terry are celebrating their anniversary in July as well. So this blessing is for you as well, Brian and Terry. May God, who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all of these couples who celebrate their anniversaries this month. Guide them further in their life's journey. Together, let them find favor in the eyes of those who see them together, and let them continue to build Jewish lives worthy of praise, where they will find tranquility in their hearts all of their lives. May all their endeavors be blessed, God, the source of all life. Bless these couples. May the love that binds them be strong and lasting, and let their hearts be filled with patience and understanding for one another. May their homes continue to be a sanctuary built on devotion to God, Torah, and Israel. May they be blessed with a long life together, filled with good health, good fortune, adventure, and peace. Their love and friendship continuing to deepen through the years. Mazel tov on your anniversaries this month. And with that, folks, I want to invite you to return to your seats. Mazel tov. And before they sit down, I'll invite everyone to stand as we lift the Torah and dress her before we continue. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה, וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, לפני בני ישראל. וזאת התורה, 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 וזאת התורה. You may be seated. As I mentioned, this week in the Torah, we read about these daughters of Tzlofechad. Machla, Milcah, Hogla, Noah, and oh my goodness, how can I forget her name? She's the last one mentioned. And Tirza, sorry. And Tirza. And we read about them because something is happening. We are in the process now of dividing the land that we will inhabit. Moses has been given the task of taking a census, of calling all the people together and making sure that each tribe is given their equal share based upon all of the families within that tribe. Well, it just so happens that these 5 sisters are the orphans of their father. And they have no male siblings. And so they are being omitted from this gift. And so they approach Moses, something that was really pretty gutsy at the time, if you think about it. They approach Moses, and by the way, they've seen a lot of people challenge Moses while they've been in the desert, haven't they? They've seen Korach, they've seen all these different people that things didn't always end so well when someone was challenging Moses, because God oftentimes took Moses' side. But they come to Moses and they say, why should our father's name be deleted? Be deleted because he has no male heirs? Why should we not be able to receive the portion that should be given to him? And I love that verse in the Torah. It's the last verse that I read, where they say, Lama yigara Shem Avinu mitoch mishpachto. Why are you deleting our father's name from the names of his family? How can you do that? Well, Moses hears their plea, and Moses goes to God, and God, of course, says, they make a lot of sense. And God says, give them the portion that is due to their family. There are some restrictions that are placed upon that, by the way. I mean, for instance, they have to marry within their tribe, or else they will lose the portion that they have, because you can't exactly have tribal lands being given to another tribe and things like that. And once they would marry, of course, whatever their possessions are would ultimately become the joint possessions with their spouse. So there were different restrictions that are placed upon this deal, so to speak. But it really speaks to the very first time. First of all, one of the first times that women have a voice in the Torah. Thank God. And certainly one of the very first times that the women are listened to and responded to and given a level of equality. A level of equality. Like I said, there were stipulations. It's not pure equality, but we all know about that, don't we? So, but they were given a level of equality here that didn't exist before this time. I've been spending a lot of time kind of thinking about the legacy of these 5 women. The legacy to the Jewish people, the legacy to our children, the legacy to my daughters. My daughters who will perhaps only carry my name until such time that they decide to marry, at which time they may decide to take their husband's name, which is perfectly fine. Although my wife was in the same situation. She also had the same situation where she chose to take my name as her last name, but she chose to keep her father's name as her middle name because there were no male Wades that would be coming up. And I think about that legacy partly because I have these 2 wonderful daughters, and partly because I've just spent this incredible time at Camp Newman where we have been focusing so much on inclusion, and we have been focusing so much on making sure that everyone is treated equally. No matter their gender, no matter their sexuality, no matter the color of their skin, no matter anything. Because we are all the community of Jews living at that camp. So I thought that I'd take just a minute with all of you and try to remember some of the incredible moments that we have experienced in our Jewish community, that you've experienced in your Jewish community, where you felt it was a step forward for people's equal rights in the Jewish community. And I'll start by sharing one of mine. Those of you who know me very well, you know that I am a huge Jewish feminist. So this story is going to come as a shock to you. But when I was about 11 or 12 years old and a member of a conservative congregation, I was taught that when a woman was called to Torah that I should get up and leave. Certainly not my practice anymore. In fact, those of you who know me well, you know that I would love nothing more than to bring up all the women of the congregation and have them read Torah, because it is so important to me. But what a step that was happening in the conservative movement way too late, much later than it happened in the Reform movement, to start calling women to Torah, to start having women reading Torah, and women, my own sister, who now is a rabbi and a cantor, my own sister could not read from the Torah for her bat mitzvah. It couldn't be done. So, bravo, we've moved forward. When I was a child, there weren't a lot of female rabbis. Interestingly enough, nowadays, if you look at the graduating classes of Hebrew Union College, there aren't a lot of male rabbis. What other things have we witnessed in our lives? What other changes have we witnessed that we celebrate? And I'll ask this second question to all of you. What are some steps you hope to see in your lifetime still be achieved for equality? Anybody? Equal pay and recognition. Thank you. Absolutely. I hope that for my daughters, when they hit the workforce, that they won't have to wait until April or May to finally be making equal pay, which is somewhere about the time that the calculations say it starts happening.
The decision to be able to choose what to do with your body.
Thank you so much. Yes.
It's funny, we had it last month, but
Yes, the decision over our own bodies, and over the bodies of our loved ones as well, and that's very important too. And I think that's an important part of some of the legislation that is being looked at right now. So absolutely, the decisions over our own bodies. There was a time when there wasn't a woman on this bema leading this congregation in prayer. There was a time, way before me, when I came on. There had been female cantors here already, which is wonderful. And then it was interesting that we had a fully male bema again. But these things happen. But there was a time when there was no female presence on this bema. And it's wonderful to have that balance up here. Yeah.
well, I remember I grew up in New York City in Upper Manhattan, right near the yeshiva.
Mm-hmm.
That was our temple. I remember sitting upstairs with my mother and then going downstairs. So it's so, I'm so grateful to be able to see the changes that have occurred over all these years. And that I became bar mitzvah.
Absolutely. That you became bat mitzvah, Linda, is wonderful because you grew up in a place where that would have never happened, and in a time when that would not have happened. And yes, in a place where men and women prayed separately, when we didn't sit next to our spouse, when we couldn't sit next to our spouses in many synagogues. And I have to tell you, I can't imagine not being able to sit next to my spouse when I'm praying, and although I don't do it often because I'm up here and she's out there usually, but absolutely, yeah.
Singing the change in music that we sing, how much more modern it is, refreshing.
Thank you. Yes, the changes in music that we sing, the more modernity to our musical motifs, while still paying homage to the traditions, and that's an important part of what I do, is make sure that we respect both sides. And by the way, the fact that much of the music that we sing today is written by women, and a lot of that was not the case back in the days of Lewandowski and all of these Gonchoff and all of these incredible cantors who were writing liturgical music. So cantors and musicians. Yes.
I also was not allowed to read from the Torah at a bat mitzvah for the same reason as her sister. My synagogue did not allow it. And I also just returned from my grandmother's stone setting, and men and women are also separate there.
Oh, wow.
So it was my father's mother that passed, and so I could not physically stand with the only family that I knew.
Oh, so you were separated even now because it was an Orthodox ceremony.
The whole family take me with them on the women's side, but it was a different experience.
Of course. Not everyone is moving forward at the same speed. That is for sure. And we see that in our Jewish circles, that the Orthodox community, they do now have, they are now ordaining women, but they are not ordaining them with the same level of kavod, with the same level of respect and responsibility, because they still pray separately. And but there have been one or two, I think, women now in the Orthodox movement that have been ordained as rabbis, which is a start. It's a start. It's a move for them. Obviously, they are decades behind us when it comes to that equality. But it'll take decades more, unfortunately, for them. And by the way, there is no one box that everyone fits in. Not even in our Judaism, not even with the daughters of Tzalafachad. There was no one box that needed to work. What needed to happen was that their voices needed to be heard, and they needed to be responded to in an appropriate manner, and they were. And they felt respected, and they felt honored, and they felt that their father's name was being honored in that process. May we continue to fight. May we continue to fight every day so that our daughters are equal to our sons. May we continue to fight every day so that our children who are non-binary have the same rights as our children who are binary. May we continue to fight every single day so that the future is filled with more equity and equality for all within the Jewish community, within our local community, and within our nation. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. We turn now to while we still have the Torah out, to our prayers of healing. We begin with these beautiful words written by Alden Salovey for those who endure chronic illness. As I look through our congregation, if you know of someone who is enduring a chronic illness and is in need of God's healing presence, I invite you to share their name, knowing that we will share names again about all of those who are ill and in need of God's healing presence.
Michael Hyde, Vanessa Watson.
Ray Bench,
Ezra Friedman Harvey and Trudy Kapner. God of our mothers and fathers, watch over all who live with genetic disorders, life-threatening medical conditions, and chronic or degenerative diseases. Bless them with endurance and resilience, fortitude and hope, with opportunities to thrive and shine even as their conditions progress. Watch over them, their families and friends, our community, and all humankind. We pray for the wisdom and insight to see each member of our community with clear eyes and an open heart, as another human being, a whole person with hopes and dreams, proud of who they are, striving to be their best selves, struggling with this life and loving it too, as we all do. Rock and shelter, grant us all the ability to see each other's humanity clearly, to cherish each other's individuality, to care deeply about one another, to mourn our losses and celebrate our victories together, so that we live, act, and pray as one community of care and blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who strengthens our steps. And now I ask, if you are thinking of someone who is in need of God's healing presence, someone who is ill at this time and is in need of refuat hanefesh, healing of the spirit, or refuat haguf, healing of the body, I invite you to share their names aloud. And the names that I see being shared here in our chat as well. The names of Jennifer Hamburg-Roski, Victoria Torrey Jacks, for everyone who is on the weekly email list, Joshua Strock, Ethan Shahan, Mark Newman, Dina Feynman, Sonny Felberg, Susie Felberg, Josh Montgomery, and Michiko, Victoria Moreno, Leilani Acosta, Kristen Kumagawa, Bonnie Leopold, Jackie, Julie, Joyce, and Brielle, Stacy Morse, Shosh Lair, Batya Cohen, Carol Pratt, Don Hess, Judah Rosen, Jesse Lynn Schaefer, and of course all who are in our hearts, all the names that have been mentioned and all those who cannot be mentioned. For them we now sing together the Mishaberach Lecholim, the blessing of those who are ill. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, whose healing presence is with all of those in need. And we all say, Amen. I invite you to stand, if you are able, in body or spirit, as we return the Torah to the ark and begin to conclude our service. Etz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushav deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu Bekedem. We remain standing as we begin to conclude with the words of Aleinu, page 586. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, sing what's good and true, to dream about redemption. It's what we we're free to do. It's up to us. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to learn the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. V'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. As we recall those who are in the period of Shiva or Shloshim at this time, the families of Art Hirsch, father of Doug Hirsch, of Audrey Carlin, Dr. Barry Tischler, husband of Ellen Tischler, father of Brittany Page, and of course of Hillary Whittam, niece of Ben and Shelley Pogorelski. We also remember those for whom we commemorate their Yortzeiten, the anniversaries of their death during this week: Rose Alpert, Doris Altman, Shirley Blatt, Helen Block, Beatrice Brown, Moshe Berginas, Maurice Commande, Carl Eisenberg, Pedro Elizalde, Travis Fellberg, Mitzi Krasner Frankel, Barbara Jean Halford, Jacob Hodes, Patricia Kapner, Nathan Kosick, Dora Kramer, Sylvia Lench, Carl Lopathy, Linda McClanahan Shulkin, May Meyer, Gita Molodetskaya, Patrick Murphy, Dora Pike, Nettie Pogorelski, Janice Proud, John Rosenberg, Ellen Santamoro, Adele Savage, Wanda Sayers, Bruno Seelig, Mimi Steindler, Harry Sunshine, David Lewis Waterman, Eva Sunstein Zeugschmidt. We remember all of them and take them into our hearts with our own as we join together in the words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cherutei ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalah u'vizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata, tushbechata ve'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya ve'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we all say, Amen. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם. Shabbat Shalom. You may be seated for just a moment for just a couple of quick announcements of things coming up this weekend that I want to remind you about. First of all, I want to thank our greeters tonight. I want to thank the Feldmans for being out there and making sure that everyone was greeted out there. I want to thank all of you who are here on Zoom who have been greeting each other so perfectly and so beautifully. And I want to remind all of you that this weekend we still have a couple of incredible things ahead of us. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, please join us for our meditation service on Zoom. Tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, please join us at the home of George and Barbara Mayer for our incredible first concert under the stars of the summer. You don't want to miss it. It's the Wonderful World of Disney tomorrow night, and it's going to be great, featuring Bob Remstein, Cantor Lizzie Weiss, Cantor Sarah Haas, myself, and of course, a little cameo performance by our own personal Moana, Zoe Davidson. So you don't want to miss the concert tomorrow night. It's going to be great. Bring your own picnic dinner at 6 p.m. and at 7 p.m. the music begins, and you're out of there by like 8:15. So please come and be a part of the celebration. A huge thank you, of course, to our very own Bob Remstein for the incredible musical support tonight. And another reminder on Sunday at, Rosa, help me, what time is the Sunday Fun Day for all families that have Torah school age children from 11 to 3 at the Korean Bell. Also bring your own picnic lunch and have a great time with your Temple Bethel family on Sunday Fun Day. With that, I want to wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. If you're here on Zoom, I'm going to send you into breakout rooms at this time, and Bob's going to play us out. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There is challah out on the patio.